Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of The Serpent Episode 3, which is the third episode of a TV crime drama dramatization of real events, or based on real events, around the killer Charles Sobergy. In this episode, a French man called Dominique gets caught up in the activities of Charles Sobergy and his associates and attempts to escape from his clutches. Meanwhile, their neighbours, who help Dominique escape towards the end of the episode, then start talking to the Dutch investigator, Herman, and his wife and their Belgian consulate friend about what happened, or at least what they know about what happened. So far, out of the first 3 of these 8 episodes, we'll get to the other 5 later, but so far, out of the first 3 episodes, this is definitely the best. Episode 1 was a very good setup episode, but it kept going back and forth so much. Episode 2 also went back and forth a lot, but I think the character dynamic made that episode stand above the first. Episode 3, what a fantastic episode. This one was just magnificent. Okay, Nick picks out the way. It does go back and forth a few times. I think that's going to be a thing throughout, if not the entire series, at least most of it. But this one doesn't do it as much as the first 2. It's my focus is more on Dominique's story in major chunks, occasionally going back to the present, or at least present for Herman the investigator, when he's talking to the couple who lived nearby, who later helped Dominique escape. But most of the story is focused on Dominique and his story, so I think the going back and forth between these segments works well. It's certainly better in this episode than the previous 2. The tension in this episode is brilliant, especially in the last third. The tension just builds and builds for the character. And I like Dominic as a character. He was a good character and a good one for the audience to follow in this episode. I won't spoil what happens at the end, but it's a very good conclusion to his story, and the tension building up to that was brilliant. And similarly, there is a little bit of tension at the very end when Charles and his associates meet one of the neighbours, and they're taking her home. And this tension is building for the next episode, whether they're going to find out about their involvement with what happened, and with them talking to the Dutch embassy guy. But most of the story is focused on Dominique's meeting Charles, being their friend, getting sick, but then he stops taking his medicine, so that possibly makes him escape death a bit sooner than maybe some of the other victims. And I like how this episode ties in with parts from the first 2 episodes. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, but each episode's putting different pieces together, but then you've got to attach other pieces to that come in later episodes. So there's nice tying together, and I like how these episodes have different versions of what happened at different points over a period of time, and it's all kind of stitched together, and I think that works pretty well. So you might have an angle of one event in one episode, but then you'll get another angle in the next episode or a later episode, and I think that works really well. Casting, again, acting is brilliant as the characters, and I think everyone does a particularly great job. This episode certainly focuses more on, as I said, Dominic, but also with Charles and also his male associates. We don't really get as much Marie in this episode. I don't think there's really anything wrong with this episode. In fact, I think this one is more or less perfect. My only nitpick was the whole cutting back and forth between the different time thing, which seems to be a thing with the series as a whole. But even then, like I said, this was when it was at its best, or at least handled at its best, and it's only been a nitpick before, so not a major issue. Overall, I think episode 3 of The Serpent was, like I said, fantastic. I loved how it told Dominique's story. I loved how the couple who helped him escape are telling to the Dutch embassy guy and his wife, and the tension building, especially towards the end of the episode. Firstly with Dominique's escape, and then again with one of the neighbours meeting Charles at a post office, a post and telegraph office, and whether she'll get found out. The tension is absolutely brilliant. So I am really looking forward to seeing how this series carries on. I've already been looking forward to seeing the series carry on after the first 2 episodes, but after this one, the stakes have raised even higher. Although one person escaped, although I won't reveal whether he truly escaped, because that's a spoiler for this episode. Go check it out. I might say so in a later review or in the ranking, but until then, go and watch the episode to find out for yourself whether they truly escaped. But I love the tension building towards the end, and I thought it was a great episode throughout. So I will be giving The Serpent Episode 3 a 10 out of 10. This is certainly the best episode of the first 3 episodes of the series. Whether any of the other 5 will be able to top this is to be seen. This whole series is available on BBC iPlayer, so you can go and check the whole thing out now. As I mentioned last week in the first 2 reviews, I'm going to try and do these ones weekly with a ranking following the last episode. So I'll see you guys next time for episode 4, and things are going to get a bit more tensionous for the nice neighbour who helped Dominique escape, or at least one of the neighbours anyway. And the tension is going to hot up a little bit for them. And I like that character, so yeah, I'm wondering whether she's going to get out alive or not, at least in this episode, next episode, sorry, episode 4. So, like I said, I'll see you guys for that next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. So, episode 3. Which is fine. I sound like I'm disappointed. I don't think there's anything specifically wrong with this episode. I think this one is more or less brilliant. My only real nitpick is the old going back and forth time thing, just kind of, which seems to be an issue with the series as a whole. So I'm not going to have an issue with that this time, and it's already over. And then secondly, with one of the neighbours being met, as one person may have escaped, as one person has escaped, though I won't spoil whether he completely escaped or not. That's something for you to watch in this episode. This is certainly the best episode of the first 3. Whether it will be the third, those who watched, if you watch the series fully on it, but I'll be trying to do these weekly. I'll be trying to check it out weekly at least, and try to do these reviews weekly, as I mentioned last week with the first 2 reviews.